Hi, Lisa Wilson, Human Resources Cultural Consultant and Leadership Vision Coach. I wanted to come in and talk today about conflict and the importance of it. I think we all think that conflict is a bad thing, and it's not. What's a bad thing is not doing the conflict well. It's not possible for you to have a full team that always gets along and that always thinks the same way, nor do you actually want that. You want people with different opinions and different ideas. And the more that you have that, the better solutions you're going to have to things, because you're going to have people seeing things from very different perspectives. The idea, though, is you need to do that conflict well, effectively. When people have different opinions or different ideas, you need to be able to talk them through and come back to some area where you can actually get along. Sometimes we have to agree to disagree. Sometimes we can't agree to disagree because we have to find a way to move forward. And that's when we start to look at compromises and how to get somewhere. Now, these conflicts I've been finding recently are coming up more and more. I've actually been called into more mediations in the last couple of months than I have been in the 6 years of being in business. Now, mediation wasn't something that I hugely advertised, but it's come up more and more recently. So a couple of things I want you to consider. When you're in a conflict, what you need to go back to is, number one, is making sure everyone's hearing everyone and understanding the meaning behind things. So we all have different personalities. We say things in a different way. We communicate in a different way, and we hear things in our own personality's way. That means that sometimes we're going to have to use a tool where we reframe things or where we just repeat back what someone said to us. So if I was called in for mediation, how I would do it is I would sit everyone down, ask one person to explain, and then have the other person explain it back to them. So say, okay, this is what I heard you said, without adding any input of their own. And then let the other person explain, and the first person would speak back to them as well what they had heard. That's the first step always, because that shows whether or not we've heard in a way that we understand what they've said, and it allows us the space to say, oh no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was this. And to say, it allows the first, each party to say it in a way that people understand. Then the next piece is, once that happens and we actually hear the other person, it makes a huge difference in starting to step things forwards and starting to move forward. So make sure that everyone's listening to each other, and then you can start to come up with solutions for whatever the issue is. Don't avoid conflict. Go deal with the conflict. Even if you handle it poorly, if you start handling it, you can always go back and try again. Sometimes things get heated. That's okay too. I think we get confused in that we think in a workplace where we're going to have conflict and we're going to be able to talk it out all nice and everyone will be calm and it will all be nice. That's not what happens. Sometimes things get heated because people are passionate about what they do. As long as they're not being disrespectful and they're not dismissing someone, you can keep moving forward. And that's what needs to happen. You need to have those conversations. You need to listen to the other person, and you need to let people talk. Even if it looks heated at times, as long as both parties are still listening to each other, keep moving forward. If it's not two parties, if it's a whole team, sometimes you need to take a break. Actually, in either way, you need to take a break and say, okay, everybody's going to calm down. We're going to come back and actually listen. That's helpful too. But don't avoid the conflict. Make sure you go and deal with it. I promise you, it will help you it'll help you with coming up with really good solutions to things when you let that conflict come out. Because as everyone starts to give their own opinion from their own direction, we actually come up with way better solutions. So it is a lovely sunny Friday here. I can see the shining off the top of my head. I hope you have a wonderful weekend planned. We are far more open now than we used to be. So I actually get to have a haircut today. I'm very excited. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week.